As far as Democrats and their push for impeachment and what we've seen this week, Newt Gingrich joined us earlier. The former Speaker of the House seemed to suggest, Chris, that this whole thing is going to backfire on Democrats. Here's the former Speaker.
Nancy Pelosi is simply carrying out what is an unconstitutional coup d'etat, an effort to use the power of the Congress to change the outcome for the American people. And it's a direct assault on the whole idea of representing the American people and instead imposing Democratic members of Congress as the ultimate electoral college. And I think it'll backfire very badly.
A year out from the next election, will this whole thing backfire on Democrats, Chris?
Well, we don't know. I mean, because we don't know what the results are going to be. But I'm a little surprised at Speaker Gingrich, who I greatly respect. This is the exact opposite of unconstitutional. The Constitution specifically says that impeachment is left to Congress with very little statement as to how they want to conduct it. And in fact, I think I remember that Newt Gingrich did a impeachment effort, led an impeachment effort against Bill Clinton in 1998. Was that an effort to overturn an election? No, he was investigating stuff. I mean, we may find out that there's some there's no there, but to call it unconstitutional or an effort to overturn an election, that's kind of a reach, particularly for somebody like Newt Gingrich, who was involved in the last impeachment effort.
The thing about Republicans in the Trump era is that every last one of them has footage or audio or, oh, I don't know, an entire history of impeaching a president from a different political party that makes them look like complete hypocrites. So for Newt Gingrich, of all people, who was Speaker of the House during the Clinton impeachment, to claim all of a sudden that impeachment is this assault on the Constitution is just Republican hypocrisy personified. To be clear, the House moving to impeach Trump isn't unconstitutional. In fact, it's literally their job to conduct oversight on the executive branch. You couldn't find a more constitutional route to take if you tried. But this isn't about facts. This is just another partisan Republican throwing the Constitution under the bus because it's politically convenient to do so. If Gingrich truly deferred to the Constitution, do you think he'd be so quick to betray what it actually says? It's almost like, and I hope you're sitting down for this, he doesn't actually care about the Constitution. Gingrich even goes so far as to claim that impeachment is an assault on the idea of representing the American people. Only, A, the American people favor this. Depending on the poll, the percentage of Americans who now support impeachment has reached a staggering 58%. Even Fox News' own polling is showing a majority of Americans now favor impeachment. For comparison, polling showed that 57% of Americans supported impeachment for Nixon when he opted to resign. So to suggest that our representatives aren't acting on behalf of their constituents is to have your head completely in the sand. And B, we have elected representatives in place to know the law and defend it. So when Trump conspired with a foreign power to interfere in our election, when he solicited dirt on a political opponent from a foreign entity, when he engaged in a cover-up to hide the evidence and instructed his officials not to comply with legal subpoenas, he broke the law. And we fully expect that our representatives, whose salaries our tax dollars pay, hold him accountable and do their jobs. This isn't an assault on the idea of representing the American people, it's the system working as it was designed to. Also, since when is the Republican Party in support of defending limitless presidential power, including the right to commit crimes without fear of any congressional oversight? The extent to which the GOP has contracted every ounce of what it claimed to once stand for, all in desperate defense of this criminal, is pretty staggering. And by the way, it's not just their support for an authoritarian president. I'm old enough to remember when Republicans pretended they were for family values before lining up behind a guy who has spent more money paying off porn stars for affairs he had while his pregnant wife was sitting at home than most of us will ever see in our lifetimes. I'm old enough to remember when Republicans were the fiscal conservatives before lining up behind a guy who has completely exploded the deficit, perhaps to the point of no return. The list goes on and on. The Republican Party doesn't stand for ideals anymore so much as it's just some apparatus to blindly defend Trump and anything that he does, regardless of its legality or morality. It's nothing more than a cult of personality that's opted to hitch their wagons to a presidency going down in flames before our eyes. Ironically enough, Gingrich was a key player in the demise of the modern Republican Party. So if you didn't already think that Newt Gingrich was responsible for dragging the GOP into the bowels of politics when he impeached Clinton for lying about a sexual act, a move so blatantly political that he left Congress shortly thereafter, rest assured that he's responsible for destroying what's left of it now with his flailing defenses of Trump.